We're back on the Nevcast with the continuation of last week's episode. Let's tune in.
Welcome to the Nevcast, where three bros talk business, art, justice, and the pursuit of Jesus.
Any day above ground is a good day.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and kiss 30 minutes goodbye with Peter Nevland,
Dave Nevland,
and Rashid. But what if even corporately we address some of our doubts and our feelings, and then we let the Lord meet us and give us his response? Because I wondered, is the issue that we don't trust that God's going to show up and he's going to respond
Maybe.
in a way that will give us peace?
Yeah, I mean, speak to us.
And give us a way to dance in the middle of our pain.
It's a different. It's a whole another whole issue is whether God speaks when you worship, or is your corporate worship just you doing things to God, right? Because that's maybe rare too, maybe too rare as well. That's what's supposed to happen.
Well,
we meet with God. He's not silent.
So I wondered, has God ever met with people? And has he shown up and communicated something to a group of people
and
whenever they've
does he?
Has that happened before in history?
Right, exactly.
Like it's happened all through the Bible.
All through Scripture, all through history.
And it's happened all through history where God has showed up and he has spoken to people, he's communicated, made obvious his presence.
A people making themselves vulnerable to the Holy Spirit.
But he might have
decided.
He might have decided here in the last 50 years that
he doesn't want to
do that anymore.
Well,
he might have changed his very nature.
There's some groups that might believe that, but that's not correct.
Well, because it says in the Bible that he's the same yesterday, today, and forever.
He does. That's right. It's very conservative in that way. He's liberal in that he wants all to come to him in this way, though.
Right. Rescue yourself. Good. That's very good.
Well, no, yeah, he's both. He's both those things, but at the right time, in the right time.
So I'm just saying, I feel like as songwriters, we can't just write songs that are only about having all the problems solved.
Right.
I remember a long time ago.
Unless you want to have a lot of hits after your name, then you write about all the problems being solved all the time.
Well, it's interesting though, but Mercy Me's biggest hit.
It's true.
Was not all the problems being solved.
You're right. That's true.
Delirious's biggest hit,
not always
commercially.
Oh, right.
Was actually the White Ribbon Day about having not all the problems being solved. Right. And it's funny, even their song Our God Reigns.
Oh gosh.
Our God Reigns.
Which you never sing any of the verses.
No churches sing the verses.
People don't even know the verses. When I've brought up the verses to
100 million babies.
Lost to God's great orphanage. Orphanage, yes.
It's a modern day genocide.
Yes.
And a modern day disgrace.
Yeah.
If this is a human right, why don't we fight? The only answer lies in a man nailed to a tree.
Right.
Our God reigns.
Yes. Right.
Our God reigns. Yes. Forever your kingdom reigns. The conflict of these two things.
Yes. Right.
Both are true.
Every time I bring up the verses to that, people are shocked and like, what? That's what they're like.
That could be in that song. Yeah. And what's funny? When he originally wrote the song, I remember them talking about it. I was talking to. I met.
You talked to him.
Yeah, I met them at this festival. I talked to them later, each one of them and stuff, and sort of became tiny bit friends. But I don't talk to him. I haven't talked to him in a long time.
That's all fine.
It's all good, right? Anyway, but. I remember them talking about this, and they said when Martin originally wrote it by himself, and he brought it to the band, and it had these, very nice verses.
Oh,
that were about, just worshiping God and our God reigns and everything like that. And John Thatcher, the bassist, he said, "Hey, this doesn't really sound like it's not a really Delirious song, like." This doesn't feel right. It's like everything's too buttoned up. And he's like, well, why don't we write about the conflict of things that, not right, and yet all God reigns. And so then he and Martin Smith together, I guess they decided to address abortion, plastic surgery, HIV.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was something else.
Those are huge.
I think those are the big enough. And he's like, so they finished that, and they said, "Oh, now it feels like a Delirious song." And I remember when they played that song. I mean, it was powerful seeing them play it live.
Yeah.
Going through those
not
things.
necessarily everyone's singing along with all the words.
Not necessarily.
Not totally. Because that's hard. That's even harder to do.
But that's another part.
To bring a song out like that is difficult.
So
in that scenario, but to get everyone to sing with it is another.
Is it possible to have corporate worship? Is it possible for things to be part of corporate worship where not everybody is singing? Maybe someone's doing something, and then there's the opportunity for a response.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
That's happened before. We don't do that very often, though, in our...
Yeah. Because the goal is engagement.
Right.
Engagement, which is different than a concert.
But you can get engagement with story.
You can't, yeah, totally.
If it's told well.
Yeah.
And then then there's a response too. I mean, we've seen that. Like I know that there are times when I've done performance pieces as part of corporate worship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And towards the end of the piece, I actually built in an opportunity for all of us to respond and then to come out of that piece. And it's incredible. It works amazingly well. And like this goes to a whole nother level from a worship standpoint.
David Helzer's it's not right. No, we're not right. It's No Longer a Slave.
Yeah.
Has that in it. The recording has a spontaneous part.
Who's David Helzer?
David and Melissa Helzer, Bethel Music.
Oh, No Longer a Slave. Okay.
Yeah, because he's like the but the part right before you. This is terrible.
I know I can't think of it either. I know which song you're talking about now, but I can't hear it in my head right now.
But right before he said, "Let us sing our freedom," right?
Oh, yeah.
And then he goes, "Oh, well." There's a spontaneous part right before that where he brings that in, and that's this. Those are the songs. Let us sing our freedom. Oh, and then you split the sea so I could walk right through it.
Oh, you split the sea so I could walk right through it. Yeah. My fears were drowned in perfect love.
Yeah, you rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am the child of God.
I am a child of God.
But before that, I am surrounded by the arms of the Father. I am surrounded by songs of deliverance.
Deliverance.
Yeah. We've been liberated from our bondage.
Right.
Let us sing our freedom.
Let us sing our freedom.
Now that was a spontaneous part. It's
really?
It's not in everything. It's not in every.
It's not in all
chart.
the lyrics.
Yeah.
Huh.
Right. Right. Not everybody sings that part. When you get to that part, I mean, just skip to the because, but that's the sort of the enigmatic. Wordless part of the songs of freedom. You can kind of put your own song of freedom in that area, but you wouldn't necessarily know to do that unless you sing that, unless that spontaneous part had preceded it. So, I mean, that's kind of an example. That was a terrible relaying of that example.
You got through it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Anyways, but that's pretty modern.
Yeah.
Example of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
With everyone, that everyone can join in easier.
That's true. I just wonder. There's a lot of parts of Scripture that we skip.
Yeah.
And I think we're missing a huge part of emotional expression, and God's longing for us to open that part of our hearts up to Him.
If you have enough time, you can do it. And that's another issue.
That's
if you don't give enough time for this, because things take time.
Right. That's true.
then you gotta expect there to be time. You gotta take the time to go there.
I guess that's very important because when you're talking about something that's a very vulnerable thing that involves the expressing of pain and the healing of pain, it doesn't happen quickly.
Yeah.
You can't do this. Intimacy does not happen without time.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. In fact, maybe intimacy requires a breakthrough of forever.
Right. And the most intimate thing, Christ coming to earth, was in the fullness of time.
Fullness of time.
What?
Yeah, right?
Whoa.
Yeah, where God limited himself, made himself vulnerable in the fullness of time.
So there's this tension then between the time and God being outside of time, and he's God and he's divine, and yet his humanity being Christ. So the tension between these two poles,
right?
I mean, you can't make music with a string unless it's got tension at one side and tension at the other.
Right.
And you string that and you tune it to the right various frequencies, and then you put them together. That's when you can make music. That's when there's vibration.
When it's stretched.
When there's music. Even in a horn, there's tension.
Yes.
Because you have to have length.
Right.
Of this horn.
Well, and
in
then
order
you
to
have
make
the
tone.
compression of air that's actually
compression of
moving
air.
through it,
That's
causing
in
the sound.
tension. That's some sort of tension. It's a compression wave.
It's compression, right?
Yeah.
It's not tension.
Compression, decompression.
It's compression, right? There's a difference between compression and tension, right?
Yeah.
Some things are good, but
A little
you're right.
metaphorical example.
The metaphorical still.
I mean, not everything is.
There's
not all
pressure.
music is
Let's
made
just
with
say
strings.
that there's pressure. There's either
pressure? Yes.
stretching pressure, or there's also compression pressure.
And both need time
Force
because
over area.
vibrations are how many vibrations per second?
Right.
Hertz.
Right.
Sometimes it hurts. Oh no, that's terrible.
Sometimes it hurts. His frequency is measured in hertz. Hertz. Oh Lord, deliver us. But when you're talking about deep stuff, you know what? It's interesting though.
You got to have some decompression. You got to let off some steam.
There's that, and I think that there are times when in the middle of, you'll notice that in the middle of a funeral, sometimes when there have been a lot of tears, that jokes are helpful too, but they have to be at the right time.
The right time.
There's just got to be some real tenderness with this, and I think it's when people talk about so a lot of times I think people tend to make this thing of where there's joy cannot exist without sorrow. I don't know that that's necessarily true.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because then they'll turn it into, well, good can't exist without evil. Well, that's not true.
No, right.
But fullness of emotional reality. Now, I don't totally understand what it's going to be like when evil is removed from the equation, and yet there's still going to be adventures with God. And he says he's going to wipe away every tear from every eye.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that happens, but in our experience right now, there's something real. And getting back to this idea of in our scars, in the place where we have been wounded, the authenticity of being able to express our woundedness and to open ourselves up for God to come and meet us there and for other people to come and meet us there and to mourn together with us, and then to walk to wholeness and walk to a place of connectedness and a place of rejoicing and conquering that sorrow together. That is powerful.
Yeah.
And I think we feel it. We know it's powerful, but we also know it's risky.
Wow.
And living in that tension is the place where now we need God. When we remove the tension, we don't need God.
Yeah. Although
we're fooled into thinking we don't need God.
Well, I mean, I think we tap in pretty quickly to knowing how we need God. I mean, right? I mean, we kind of, I don't know. We can easily. I mean, it's easy to live in the state of knowing that you need God, that you're powerless without Him. I mean, that's
Is it?
human.
Yeah, but people forget.
We do forget.
Because when do you forget? When do you most often forget?
Well, after he's come through.
When the tension's removed.
Yeah.
And so to allow when we are brought into that tension, not to try to say, well, let's remove the tension and just be fine.
Yeah.
Because the tension's actually still there.
I mean, the woman with the issue of blood. I wrote a lyric one time to an older song that did it, and where I was like, I am sick. I can't get well.
Right.
I am sick, and everyone can tell. Now, what is that talking about? Well, the air that I breathe cannot sustain. It cannot keep this body from wasting away.
Yeah.
But if I touch the hem of his garment, I know his blood can make me whole.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so even in that instance, Jesus stopped.
He stopped.
He stopped on the way to heal a little girl. And eventually, he made it where he brought her back to life.
Right.
He made that even more powerful. But this with this woman, he stopped at that deeply intimate moment with her and made a point of it for the entire crowd that was gathered, that was pressing in. And then you think about the one other final story. The one other final story was the woman who came and broke the alabaster jar.
Dude.
And the scent of the perfume filled the room. And then her tears washed his feet.
Yeah, and her hair dried.
And her hair dried them. And the perfume was overwhelming. And Jesus said, in every place that the gospel is preached, what this woman has done will be told as a memorial to her, because she understood what worship was. If that's not what worship is, what is worship? We are missing, when we neglect to enter our most vulnerable places and to express, to be willing to go to the places of our sorrow, the places of our pain, and let the Lord touch the places of our sorrow, the places of our pain. We are missing the very heart of worship. If we're saying, I'm going to come back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you, well, it's all about me. Us allowing you to meet us.
Yeah.
And us expressing and pouring out what we have to you, so that then you will pour what you have into us, so that then we can pour more of what we have into you, so that then you'll pour more of what you have into us. It's supposed to be this ongoing thing.
That's the spiral of glory.
Spiral of glory.
That's
glory
the
to
spiral of
glory to glory
yeah.
to glory.
Let's go there, y'all.
Yeah.
Let's go there.
Let's go there. Thanks for joining us on the Nevcast. That's it for the Nevcast this time. Join us next week when we talk justice, business, and art in pursuit of Jesus. We will see you soon.